Welcome to Lifeline for Leaders, a podcast created to strengthen and connect those serving in pregnancy care clinics and pro-life ministries. I'm Linda Thomas.
And I'm Kirk Thomas. Each week we sit down with leaders, ministry partners, authors, and experts who shape the pro-life landscape, sharing practical insights you can use right away and inspiring stories that remind you you're not walking this journey alone.
Our mission is to help you serve with confidence and resilience. This is your community, your support, your lifeline.
Episode 4 with Kirk and Jenn Walden. As we close the Saving Samaria series, we're joined once again by Kirk and Jenn Walden, co-authors of Saving Samaria, 7 Jesus Strategies for Healing a Broken Culture. In this final episode, we turn our attention inward toward what sustains us when the work is costly, the fruit is slow, and the hope feels fragile.
All right, so strategy 7 is gratitude. Exude gratitude. Gratitude is everything, right? Attitude is everything, and gratitude is part of that. Well, Jenn, you probably found it a little bit difficult when you were 29 years old to find some gratitude in your situation. You were diagnosed with a really rare form of cancer, and I think anybody would expect the toll to be physically difficult, but you found that it was also mentally and spiritually challenging as well. I'd hate to take you back to that time, but it is so helpful for others to hear your story. So if you would kindly share it like you do in the book and take us into that experience and share with us what it meant to be carried when you didn't have the strength to carry yourself.
Yeah, so one of the things I learned through that journey is that cancer it's almost like too vague a term. Every person's experience is different. My particular cancer was kind of brutal. The treatment for it was quite successful, but I ended up in the hospital for probably over 30 days with chemo rounds just regularly. It pummeled my body. My doctor said it's like trying to kill a flea with a sledgehammer. It's effective, but it's very destructive. So it's the last thing I expected to happen when I was in my late 20s, but I did it. I didn't really have a choice. If I wanted to make it, I had to go through these treatments. So it was one of those moments in my life where when I was hospitalized, I would become sick immediately when the chemo started and be sick for days, like hourly. I would be sick at my stomach from all the treatment. And during that time, I wanted to be strong and, this is a time to dig into your faith and you're going to make this, right? But instead I was just physically drained spiritually. I could barely pray. I could barely think. I couldn't read my Bible. I couldn't watch television. I was in complete survival mode during that period. And so that does cause you to lean in a way you never expect to on the people in your life and on the Lord. Like it was literally, I think about that my grandmother bought this for me during that time, but like the footprints in the sand, which is just such a beautiful poem. But that's what it was for me. I was being carried by the Lord. And, he carried me. And I know he did. And I could get very emotional just thinking about it.
Yeah, well, that's understandable for sure. Yeah. And I think maybe this is a little fiery spirit might have helped you because you say that gratitude is not denial, it's defiance. And maybe that helped you. So can you help us understand what you mean by that?
Yeah, that was one thing that, I don't know, I just feel like the Lord inspired me through that season and equipped me to make it. It was a mindset that I needed, and I became thankful for the most minute things. Like I remember sitting at my window at the hospital. I couldn't be outdoors. It really damaged my immune system. So no, I couldn't receive flowers. I couldn't have guests to come and visit me. My mom got to stay with me, but I couldn't have any visitors. And I just remember sitting at my window and I could see the breeze blowing, and just thinking, Lord, thank you. It was, I would see a bird. Thank you. It just was some of the most beautiful things that you just become kind of immune to because you become so used to them. And just the little things became so precious to me. And it was really, in a weird way, it was such a gift, to treasure life in that way, to not have a choice, but to just be so grateful for every little thing that you get to experience. So I think that kind of gratitude would not have happened without the Lord, So that's where I think this strategy is so powerful. We really talked about what is that last strategy. We had a couple of different ideas, and then ultimately this is where we landed. But we're like, you want to talk about empowering ourselves to make a difference in the world. Gratitude. When we feel like when anybody would look at you and say, why you're happy, you're thankful, what are you talking about? You practically dying here. That gratitude is such a powerful, I'd use the word weapon, but I think it's a powerful weapon.
I think it's a weapon. I think that's well said. And I mean, the story that it comes from, of course, is from that moment when Jesus heals the 10 lepers, and there's one who returns with gratitude. Everybody else goes and does what Jesus told them to do. Go show yourself to the priest. But this was one who bucked the trend and said, I am going to be effusive and I'm going to exude gratitude. And I just go, okay. And Jesus pointed him out, and said, hey, this guy's different. And he pointed out that he was a Samaritan. And I just think it doesn't matter what your background is. That gratitude was all he needed to have an unbelievable encounter with Jesus that changed his life. And that's what our gratitude can do. It can help us, and it can flow out on others, and they'll see things that they didn't realize were there.
And I don't think that you have to be sick, have a diagnosis to be grateful. I've experienced some things just maybe spiritually sick where I needed something, where I was kind of wallowing in different situations. When I made the choice to be grateful for everything, including the way the sun felt against my shoulders when I took a run in the morning, that kind of thing is available to everyone. So, I guess I brought that up only to say to our listeners that don't wait for something tragic to occur in your life. It's available to you all the time. Gratitude is available to you anytime.
Yeah, and you used the word weapon, but I also think that gratitude is armor. It's the armor that we put on each day, that we can wake up in the morning and just be thankful for those little things that we have. And it just seems like the day goes much better than that.
Yeah.
When we start off with that armor, and it protects us against the negativity that the world throws at us.
And I think the world notices, and they're like, these people are different. And that effusive gratitude that the leper that was healed had, and I think with Jennifer too, she saw it in little things. She wasn't I didn't know her at the time, so I wasn't there, but obviously not jumping up and down, but that quiet gratitude, I think had an impact on all those around her. And I think we can do the same as a leader. If we exude that gratitude, it has an impact on the entire culture of our staff and those who come in the door as well.
Yeah, and one of the things, I can't remember the exact chapter, but it was just asking yourself, would your neighbor believe that you're a Christian, and your actions and the way that you go about things? So, Kirk, this question's for you. Why is gratitude so important to Jesus?
I think it's important to Jesus. Boy, that's a great question. Before I answer it, I just want to say that one really puts me on my heels a little bit, because it's like, okay, because I'm having to see from Jesus's eyes, and I'm thinking, if it was me and somebody was showing gratitude, I'm like, now we have a better connection. We're stronger, me and this person, and we're going to be able to go through things together that are going to be pretty tough, and we can make it together. I think Jesus sees our relationship with him also as a partnership. And as he does, it's like, if this person can give me gratitude in the tough stuff, then I can walk with them through anything, and we can make a difference in the kingdom. And I think for those that are on this podcast, that are listening to this, if you want to be used by Jesus, if you want him to help you take ground for the kingdom, then this is that solid moment when we pull it all together with gratitude. I think gratitude makes a lot of the difference, because he's like, okay, this person isn't going anywhere when it gets tough. And that's my answer to the question. I'm sure there are many, but that's the first that jumps out at me.
That's a good one. That's very impactful. So still, for those who might be a little discouraged or questioning whether their faithfulness is making a difference, what would you want them to remember about the miracle of Samaria and the hope that comes from living out Jesus's way?
Jen, you want to go for it, or you want me to jump in?
I'm thinking.
Well,
I'm thinking.
I'll just talk and then you're going to jump in. That's what
Okay.
always happens with us. So
Okay.
I really believe that if we look at the miracle of Samaria, we go all the way back to that Samaritan woman where Jesus crossed the border and had a quiet conversation with a woman no one else wanted to talk to. And from that moment, and from these Samaritan experiences that he had, we go into the book of Acts. And then we see that the ground has already been tilled. The seeds have been planted for awakening. And it took a while, because when Jesus ascended to heaven, Samaria had not taken off yet. But after that first persecution, what happens? The Christians, many of them, run to Samaria, and that's where Philip begins to talk. Miracles happen. And we see Samaria experience an awakening that is so powerful that Peter and John have to come and see it for themselves. And I love when we get to the last verse where Samaria is mentioned. I believe it's in Acts chapter 9. We see that the church is thriving in Galilee, Judea, I think, and Samaria. Samaria has become one of the key outposts of the church, a safe haven for the church. And in the end, Jesus went into Samaria to save Samaria, and Samaria saved the church. And I think, guys, we don't know what seeds are being planted. We have no idea. And Jesus, again, when he ascended, none of this had taken place. And then it takes off, and Samaria becomes a key place for the church where people are, where the church is thriving. And I'm like, okay, that's what happens when you step into your Samaria. You never know. You may not even see it. But I know Jesus saw it from his throne, but he didn't see it on this earth. We don't know what we're going to see, but if we keep planting those seeds, they will come to fruition. And I believe awakening can be the result.
Yeah.
Jen, you want to add anything to that?
I think for me personally, I'm working in education with kids, and I feel like it reminds me a lot of work in pregnancy ministry, because, you're working with people who have a lot of challenges. And I think that this book has changed me in the way I look at my work with students. And I feel like it's a daily practice. And I'm not always, there are days when I'm like, where are those strategies, Jennifer? But
that fire in you.
Yes. Exactly. But I think that it's almost like I love what you said about armor, Kirk, because it's like, this is my daily armor. This is what I want to wear every single day. Every single day I want to wake up and I want to be a person of gratitude. I want to be a person of compassion, and all the other strategies we've talked about, fruit. And it can grow weary, because the world is the world, but I do think, do not grow weary. And, we should not grow weary. I do really believe these strategies are an answer. And it may be, I may not feel like I'm making a difference, but that isn't for us to necessarily even know. And like what Kirk was saying, we don't know what seeds will grow, and, maybe we don't even know. And when we're working in pregnancy ministry, you really don't know sometimes the full story. But I believe if we won't grow weary, God is doing amazing things, and we just keep fighting, keep going forward.
And it's interesting because Jen was weary today. She had a busy day at school, and a student comes up to her and says, you're a really great teacher. When you teach us, all these things come about, and I'm learning so much, and I've never had a teacher who teaches me as well as you do. You're just amazing. And I'm like, you know what? That's what we don't do it for those things. But when you see those, I think it's the Lord giving us a little glimpse and saying, see, when you go in and plant those seeds, whether it's in a pregnancy center, Jen in a classroom, or when I'm writing or whatever it is, those seeds are being planted, and there's a little fruit coming out in those seeds. You just never know.
That's fantastic. And that is a wonderful way to end our 4 episodes together. Jen, thank you so much for your honesty, your faithfulness, and for reminding us that Jesus doesn't avoid Samaria. If you'd like to go deeper, Saving Samaria, 7 Jesus Strategies for Healing a Broken Culture is available wherever books are sold, including Amazon.
And can you tell us just real quick, Kirk, what your schedule looks like nowadays? I mean, I know that you're on the road working with fundraisers and different things. So
doing a lot of pregnancy center events and getting ready to go out on the road this spring, and then in the fall it's beginning to fill up. But that's one of the joys, because I get to visit the centers and I get to build even stronger relationships with the directors. And of course, conferences, you and I, the 4 of us will see each other at the conferences, and I enjoy writing every day and seeing what pops up on Substack at the end of the day when I write a column every Tuesday morning. So doing some writing, looking forward to doing a lot of speaking. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I want to thank you for being so transparent in this book. I mean, just your story just resonated with me.
Changed us.
Yeah, changed. I mean,
if
definitely.
your goal was to change just one person, well, you've doubled your goal because you changed 2. Honestly, by reading this book, completely changed our perspective on everything. You don't know how many times we have said in difficult situations, and just in the last couple of weeks, we've said, well, what are we going to do? And the answer is we're walking through to Samaria. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today on Lifeline for Leaders. If today's episode was meaningful, feel free to share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a conversation.
Remember, you don't have to walk this mission alone. We're honored to walk alongside you.
See you next time.